Hi everybody, Ron Olson filling in for the Jeeker today on Memphis Sounds. This is the 91st show, 91 shows that George Klein has done. And this month we're going to kind of pay homage to all the great Memphis musicians that George has interviewed. I'm here in Jeeker land right now. There's B.B. King and Elvis and the Library Channel. What a great facility this is. So I think we're going to have some fun today. So call some friends and tell them that Ron Olson's filling in for the Jeeker. And we're going to have a good time. We're going to watch some of the best of the stuff right now. So sit back, grab some popcorn. Let's have fun with Memphis Sounds, George Klein and Ron Olson.
We heard about what Stax is, but was previously Satellite.
Satellite, exactly.
We heard about, we didn't even know the name of the company. Okay. We just heard that there was a gentleman that came by our home. He was one of the musicians in town, and he was a friend of my father's. And he said, you all ought to go down there. You know, you do little things around the house as a hobby. Yeah. He said, so just go down and just see what this place is. And it's new, and it's an old movie theater, and just go on down there, that's all. So I'm going just for fun, see what's happening. Jim Stewart's there, Stella Axton and her son. There was a few, Packy was around then, Miss Axton's son. Mm-hmm. So we went, and Daddy took a tape, which I didn't really realize what he had with him when he went. Just some things we had fun around the house with. Yeah. And he let Jim listen. Jim said, I like that. He said...
Was that 'Cause I Love You?
It was, no, this was interesting. It was The Other Side. Oh, okay. Called Deep Down Inside.
Who wrote that, Rufus?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he says, I like this. When can you all record it? I'm saying, you know, that's almost like miracle kind of things. Yeah. And so Daddy said, he says, you got another side? They said, no, but I can stand right here in the studio and write it.
It sounds like Rufus,
if we're going to get a recording deal, I'll write it right now, you know. And that's exactly what he did. Wow. We stayed right there in the studio. He wrote it. And the next week, we started recording. This is what happened with Gee Whiz. I was playing one day, probably was in the 10th grade, something like that. Playing around the house, just playing it on the piano. Daddy just turned on, you know, the little, back in those days, how the tape recorders looked then. Yeah. And he did, he said, well, let me tape that. Just see how it comes out. Dad had let a record company hear it. And had just left it up there, I guess, with him. He hadn't, we didn't know what was going to happen. So when I got ready to go away to school, Jim was saying, well, since you're going to be away, do you have anything on solo recording that we could just have while you're in school? And I said, well, I can't think of anything. Dad said, I know. Sent for Gee Whiz, where he had sent it. They sent it right back just like he had sent it.
You're kidding.
To me, that's why I say I know that these things can happen when it's meant to be.
Dreams do come true.
Dreams do really come true if you really work hard at it.
Okay, now last night was right out of the box a smash, and it's still played today on all the stations by the Marquis. But then you guys go across the hall at Stax and become Booker T. MGs. How'd that happen?
Well, the thing is, you know, last night was a big record, and the reason it was a big record, it was so timely because you could do the twist to it, and the twist was so big. It was just the perfect record to do the twist. Yeah. And so we got to do the Dick Clark show and do all of those things and do a whole tour and all that. And I wasn't much of a tour guy. I just didn't like being on the road all that much. I wanted to be in the studio. And so we were playing in Bossier City. We were down there booked for about 3 weeks, you know, and about the middle of the third week, and it was 110 degrees every day. I said, guys, I'm heading back to Memphis. So I kind of fired myself. And so I went back and asked Miss Axton if I could have my record shop job back, which she did, and I started doing odd jobs for Jim Stewart in the studio, you know, logging tapes and editing things and cleaning up and doing whatever. And he said, you know, we've got to have a rhythm section. So we started looking for different people to play, and I forget, Floyd Newman, I think, was the one, the baritone player, told me about Booker T. And I didn't know that I didn't know Booker T, but Booker had already been over to Stax and had played baritone. on a couple of tracks. Played on, I think, Rufus and Carla, Cause I Love You. And there's a story I was told many years later by Floyd. He said, Floyd says, I was afraid of losing my baritone gig. And he said, I knew that Booker T played keyboards. He said, that's why I suggested it.
That's a great story.
So, I mean, it couldn't be any better because Booker's one of the finest musicians on the planet and still is, you know.
Now, Steve, when you guys were Booker T and MGs, Green Onions was an accident,
It
right?
was a total accident. We were there to, I guess the Memphis fans know of Billy Lee Riley.
Sure.
And he had talked to Jim Stewart about wanting to cut some demo stuff. And Jim, it wasn't a regular session. We did this on a Sunday afternoon. And he asked Al and Booker if we'd come in, and when Louis Steinberg played bass on it, would we come in and cut a few sides on Billy Lee Riley. Well, somehow their wires got crossed and Billy never showed up. And we were just jamming, just playing some blues like we would do to stretch a show in a club. You know, when you have 4 sets a night, you got to keep adding songs, you know.
Right.
And for some reason, Jim liked it, and it was set up to record. He pushed the record button. And we got through playing, and we're laughing. He said, hey, fellas, he said, come in and listen to this thing. We said, you cut that? He said, yeah, come listen to this. It's pretty good. So we did, and it did feel pretty good. And he said, well, if we want to put something like this out, have you guys got anything you can put on the B side? And we just sort of looked dumbfounded. And I remember the lick that Booker had played me for a possible vocal song about 2 weeks prior. And I said, Booker, do you remember that lick you showed me a couple of weeks ago? And he said, I don't know which one. And he started playing the Green Onions lick that we know now. And we started playing on it, and I think about 3 cuts later, we had the record, as everybody knows, the Green Onions. So it really was an accident.
What a great, great song.
And then David Porter came up and said, hey, man, my name is David Porter, and you know me. He sang with a group called the Marquettes. So he said, let's team up and start writing songs, man. Like Holland Dozier, Holland, like Backrack and David. I said, all right, I'll try. And then Jim Stewart came and told us, hey, man, there's some guys coming down from New York. Jerry Wexler sent them down. So I want you guys, all you writers, put out your best wares, and they'll choose who they want to work with. And they chose me and David. Then David and I wrote a tune for them called You Don't Know Like I Know.
Great song.
And then we wrote another song called Soul Man.
Soul Man.
When somebody's wrong my baby.
Oh, wow.
Soul Man, and I take what I want and wrap it up. I take Sam and Dave.
How about Hold On, I'm Coming?
Hold On, I'm Coming. That's it. So, you know.
Somebody called you on the phone, you said, Hold On, I'm Coming. Is that how that happened?
Now, let me tell you. The Stax Museum, you go through there right now, it's great. Only thing they left out was the toilet up in the corner. Now, the toilet, we should work at the piano in midday writing songs, and David said, man, I gotta go to the restroom. I said, go in the restroom, man. So I had struck a groove. I said, hey, David, come on, man, I got a groove. He said, hold on, I'm coming. He came out of the restroom, falling over his pants and said, hey, man, I got it.
That was the title.
That was it. Hold on, I'm coming.
Sam, how did the Wooly Bully song and Sam the Sham concept all come together?
Well, it's, you know, jumping around and entertaining. I used to front the band, so we call that shamming. But also I had an organ, but all I could do is play chords.
I remember you.
Yeah, so as a put down, the leader of the band that came up here, a musician, oh, he's a sham, you know. So I thought, dang, if you get lemons, make lemonade. So next thing you know, it's Sam the Sham. Wooly Bully, we went into the studio, and you know what they were pitching us, great producer Stan Kessler.
Right.
And Jean-Luc Hazy was one of the managers and company, and Paul Bomarito.
Mr. Pete and Sam.
Yeah.
All right.
So they were pitching us material that we weren't comfortable with. We were primarily a blues band. And I said, man, this is not us. He says, have you got something? And we had a rock house tune. You know, we played roadhouses, well, down in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And so people had hit the floor. So we played it. He says, you got lyrics? Another reason they call me the Sham is to break up the monotony. I'd just tell the band to kick off something, and I'd make lyrics up as I went along. But
Right on stage?
yeah.
Wow.
So we did that in the studio. Back then, the phrase kudos, when you wanted to give, somebody told you something real hot, you say, hey man, Wooly Bully for you. You know, big
Okay,
deal.
so it was a slang expression at the time.
So we did it and used the word Wooly Bully, and bang. The rest, as they say,
Is history. Now, James, I know you had the big hit record Soul Finger. How did that come about?
Man, you would not believe, George, how that came about. It came about by accident. Actually, we were down at the Hippodrome. You remember the Hippodrome on Beale Street? 500 Beale Street. we were doing this groove behind Norman West.
Norman and
from
Soul Children.
Yep.
Right.
And we went to up to Stax Records to audition. We had auditioned 2 times before with Steve Cropper. This last time that we auditioned with Jim Stewart. And he said, play something for me. We played it, and he said, what is that y'all playing? We said, we don't know. And he ran up in the control room. You know, at that time, you know, it wasn't as elaborate as it is now. He turned a couple of knobs, and about 30 minutes later, we had Soul Finger. There are 2 or 3 different versions of stories of how that name came up, but it actually came up. David Porter had something to do with that.
Little David.
Yeah,
used
Little
to sack
David.
groceries right down the street from Stax.
Right. He had something to do with that. He said, you know, we need to put this crowd of people on there, and we went across the street and bought a case of Coca-Colas.
Yeah.
You know, it was in the bottles at that time.
Right.
And he just wanted them to holler, you know, on the certain breaks, Soul Finger. And I think that's how the title
Is
came
that
about.
how it came about?
That's how it came about.
I mean, the $1 Million Quartet thing. That thing, just a little 45-minute jam session there at 706 Union, parlayed into a Broadway show. It's on the road. They're talking about movies now. And you were a very much part of that.
Well, Sam called me up and said he would like me to drop by
Okay.
if I could. I didn't know what for. So I dropped by Sun Records. He said, Elvis wants to come up here and meet you. You don't mind that, do you? I said, no, I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'd like to meet him. I have never met him.
Yeah.
And he drove by Sun Records and got out of his Lincoln, come in, and that's where I met Elvis. And we got to laughing, joking, jamming, cutting up, and all the time Sam was putting it all down on tape.
But you guys didn't know that, huh?
Well, we didn't act like we knew it anyway.
But that thing went on for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Elvis did some Chuck Berry songs, and you did some of your stuff, and Carl, I never did too much of Johnny Cash on there, though. He's really not singing on there, is he?
No. Carl neither.
Carl's not either? Just you and Elvis?
It was just me and Elvis. We knew all these gospel songs we learned in church. We both went to the same church.
Yeah.
And we just going from one song to another. And Carl and Johnny just didn't know what to think about it because we were Assembly of God.
That's what Elvis was, yeah.
Yeah, and we knew all these old Christian songs, and Johnny and Carl and them just happened to be Baptists.
Members Only. Man, what a great song.
It's a beautiful song.
Man, I love that
It
song.
was a big change for me, you know.
Yeah,
I've been doing straight, basically blues.
Yeah.
And that had a different twist for me. you know.
Yeah, it is a different twist on that. This is Bobby Blue Bland on that song, Bobby. Members Only. Something about we're going to have a party. You don't need no money. You don't need no credit cards.
Members Only.
Go ahead, Bobby.
It's a private party.
Yeah.
You don't need no money.
Now, as I recall, Scotty, Elvis came to your house on like July the 4th.
The day before.
Which was a Sunday.
Right.
And he had on the pink and black, and Bobby said she didn't know about this guy, and Bobby being your lady at the time.
He's out the back door.
Yeah, and then the next day, you correct me if I'm wrong now, but
Well,
Scotty, you called Sam Phillips, or
Called him that afternoon.
and you said, I think maybe this kid's got something.
Well, I told him, I said that what impressed me with Elvis at the time was that he, well, back up a little bit. Bill Black lived just a few doors up the street because we've been playing together in the same band beforehand. In fact, I was keeping his upright bass.
That was the Starlight Wranglers.
Starlight Wranglers. I was keeping his bass at my house. And Bill came down and listened, sat in for a little while, just sit there and listen for and myself, Elvis, or Bill, everyone who could think of some song, would mention it, and he seemed like he knew every song in the world.
You guys go in, and Sam has got this ballad, and Elvis gives it a shot, but it's not happening.
Right.
And then you guys take a break in the action and start goofing around, and Elvis had heard That's All Right, Little Mama on a rhythm and blues station out of Memphis, and he starts singing it. You didn't know the song, Bill didn't know the song, so y'all start ad-libbing.
It's
Just
all
goofing
ad-lib.
around. And Sam sticks his head out of the control room door and says, what are you doing? We said, well, we're just messing around till you get ready to let's try something else. And he said, well, that messing around sounds pretty good.
his feeling, the way he felt music, and doing even gospel music, he felt it in a little bit different way than the norm. And being a little bit out of the norm, nobody wanted to hire him to play or come out and sing, even in clubs.
Yeah.
And I think he was suppressed in that way. But of course, once he managed to get recognized a little bit, well, of course, we all know what happened.
Exactly.
He just blew.
Thank
right
goodness he didn't conform and try to sound like somebody. Because when he walked into Marion Kaiska that day, she said, "Who do you sound like?" He said, "I don't sound like anybody."
Well, he didn't.
That's
true.
And Elvis had discussed this, Scotty, and I'd like your comment on it. He always said that rock and roll was a combination of three things: gospel, rhythm and blues, and country.
Absolutely.
And he said when it came out, it just came out of his mouth, rock and roll. Who wrote "I Can't Stand the Rain"?
We both.
You
We
co-writers on that?
We wrote that along with,
Oh, wow.
it was a disc jockey back then. His name was Bernard Miller.
Okay.
And just so happened he had came over that night before the storm started and sat in, and we didn't go out that night. We was going to a concert, and the storm was just so bad. We didn't go out, so I said we might as well sit down, and we're used to just writing.
Yeah.
So we sat down and just, I said something like, "Oh, I can't stand this. I can't stand the rain," because I wanted to go to the concert.
Sure.
So he said, "Oh, that's a great title." We sat down and started writing, and it came so easy.
Behind every song, there's a story. What's the story? How did it happen? It's hard out here for a pimp tonight.
Well, DJ Paul and Juicy J was at the studio. Craig Brewer and John Singleton was at the Hypnotized Mind Studios. And Paul and Juicy called me to write the song to "It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp" before it was that. They had already made the track for it in the studio prior to when I came. So I came, and John Singleton was telling me the situation of, how Hustle and Flow was before anybody had seen it or anything. And he was telling me about, it was this pimp, black guy. He had 3 females, 1 white, 2 black, or whatever, telling me that he was going through situations, whatever, that wasn't good. So the first thing that popped in my head was, "It's hard out here for a pimp." And John Singleton heard it. He was like, what you say? Say that again. I said, "It's hard out here for a pimp. That needs to be the name of it." And he loved it, and I built around that, me, Juicy, Paul, and hey, we came up with a hit.
Jody, it was Alex Chilton, Chris Bell, Andy Hummel, and yourself. Is that right? The original Big Star?
That's right. Actually, Chris and Andy and I had a band together. Alex was living in New York and wanted to change his address and move back to Memphis. And we were looking for a 4th member, actually, and he came to see us at a VFW club. And we all got along and thought it would be a good thing to get together, and that's
that was after he'd had The Letter and Cry Like a Baby, all those Box Tops hits, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was post Box Tops. Yeah, he left the Box Tops and then made the trip to New York, lived there for a year or 2 maybe, and then we got together after that. While we kind of had major influences from British invasion bands, I think we were somewhat of a soul band too, and what the guys were singing about just made a real connection. I think there were great melodies there. I can say this, I didn't write the songs. But I think there were great melodies there and great voices, that had some depth and they were compelling. I think that's probably a great reason why it's lasted as long as it has.
Memphis Sounds with Ron Olson for the Jeeker. It's a little note that Jeeker left me. "Ron, you are the best in the business." Thank you, the Jeeker. Thank you for that note, George. I appreciate it. This is a great show. The Library Channel does a fabulous job with the George Klein program. And you see, he's already done 90 shows. This is show 91. But one of the things he talked about a lot with George and people all over the world is about the Memphis sound. What is the Memphis sound? I think we got a couple people that maybe can describe it for you. Let's check this out.
Justin, you got a pretty good take on the Memphis sound. You talk about that. You talked about it earlier.
Yeah, well, it's, Elvis, the reason he's so important to music history is because he was not afraid to take all these, you got Memphis, okay? You got gospel, you got rhythm and blues, you got country, We didn't have what we know as rock and roll before before Elvis, before the time of Elvis.
Yeah.
And he took those three things. He took that rhythm and blues. He knew what he liked about it. He knew what he liked about gospel. He knew what he liked about country music, and he took all those things and he fused them. He put them together, and along with Scotty but this area, putting all those sounds around the same area, that is what I truly believe influenced him, and that was the birth of rock and roll.
Exactly.
Because they couldn't put a name on it.
Yeah.
It wasn't country. It wasn't rhythm and blues. It wasn't gospel. It was something else.
Yeah.
And that's, they had to name it. So.
And they did.
And they did.
Well, the Memphis Sound is, we all have to go back to our grandfathers and everything. Memphis has always been a real good musical town, and always had good bands here. And as the generation goes along, somebody pick it up and carry it on, and it's still going on. When I'm gone, somebody pick up me or Al Green or what have you,
Has it got a bass bottom? Is that part of it, Willie?
Well, Memphis, when you come to Memphis, they want to feel their music. They want to feel their music, and it's nothing synthetic about it. It's for real. It's the real coffee.
The real deal, huh?
Real deal, yeah.
You're watching the Memphis Sounds here at the G. Kerr Show. This is Ron Olson, George Klein. This is his 91st show. He'll be back soon, so don't panic. George is A-OK and fine. As a matter of fact, in his honor, I'm going to fist bump myself. Good job. Good show. George invented the fist bump, by the way. It used to be the high five, but no. George came up with the fist bump, and it's taken off pretty well. He also started the wave at all the Tiger games. He was the one that started the wave in the crowd, and they did all that stuff. We want to see some more stuff. So some of these classic moments of the George Klein Show and Memphis Sounds, some of the little montage we put together, I want you to watch this. This is really good. It's Memphis Sounds with George Klein and Ron Olson.
Uno, dos, 1, 2, 3, 4. Settle down, settle down.
Gee whiz, look at his eyes. Oh, and then she goes, we come from the land of the ice and snow, and you can just see this like Viking Brunhilde.
Da, 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 da.
My whole world turns misty blue. I don't believe that you really love me. I don't believe that you really care.
I can't lose these midnight blues. I just can't win. Yes, I was born to lose. Shannon is gone, I hope she's drifting out to sea. She always loved to swim away. Maybe she'll find an island with a shady tree, just like the one in our backyard.
It's Ron Olson working in for the Jeeker today. I met the Jeeker desk today. This is really, really cool. And again, all the trappings of the Jeeker show, George Klein show. Keith Sykes is coming up with a special song that he wrote about George Klein. And this is pretty fun. And what we've done is put together a little collection of all the famous George Klein fist bumps. So it's Keith Sykes, George Klein, and some of the best fist bumps ever from Memphis Sounds. Let's check it out. Here we go.
Some room here. There's a man on the radio from 6 p.m. to 10. Everybody in the city is listening to him. He's got the pulse of what's happening and plays the best songs. From intro to the outro, everybody sings along with GK. GK loves you madly. Every night you hear him say, this is GK, love you madly. Well, there's a lot of cool people on the radio today. They all got personality and something new to say. But only every now and then does someone come along who tunes you into something you've been wanting for so long, like GK. He never did it badly. Every night you hear him say, this is GK, love you madly. Was the #1 DJ with a TV show and everything. And you never bragged about being best friends with the king. Right. You never ever know, you know, and every Christmas got a party going on to try to help some people who've been hurting for so long. A powerful reminder of the things that you can do. If you got it, you can share it, and that's what he gave to you. That's GK. He went about it gladly. Every night you hear him say, this is GK, love you madly. When he'd sign off, he would say, this is GK, love you madly.
All right, Keith, we're about out of time.